We've been up pretty early this morning. Not as early as you guys at 4:30 or so, but
Yeah.
we got up and did a little Sean T insanity this morning.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's good. I would have wet myself.
Yeah, it was
Been the theme.
It wasn't pretty.
That's good stuff, man.
David, what do you do in the mornings for workouts? Do you do like some like ballerina moves or?
No, I do shake weight. I've really gotten into shake weight. You can there's a CD that comes with it, a variety of workouts, really intense. You can really get it going. It's a little light on the leg day with the shake weight, but hey man, you got to do what you got to do, Stu.
Dang.
Oh, it looks like you, Byron.
Yeah.
Byron was doing that. Byron was holding an extension cord and doing that. I'm like, you're holding a cord.
Look at that. Look at that. He's got some cords popping out of the freaking t-shirt there.
You should see that. I mean, I was wearing an extra tight t-shirt and
I noticed today when I was in your office, you were kind of wearing the Schmedium shirt there.
That's Connor's shirt. He's 14.
It's funny because I accidentally ventured into Stu's closet and I could have sworn he had a 14-year-old as well, but it actually was literally just his closet. So
yeah.
Hey, by the way, we've been recording for like.
Heck yeah, we've been recording because we're pumped up, dude. I'm pumped about this interview tonight.
Yeah, do it. Let's do it, man. We're ready. We've been rehearsing all day.
Yeah.
So this is Filling the Storehouse podcast. I'm Stu. That's David, and that's Byron, and that's Katie. And we are blessed to have them on our show. Byron and Katie are friends of ours that are local here in Colorado. But I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to turn it over to you two.
So one thing though, Stu, you have to account for the backwards projection. If anybody is watching this on YouTube, it's not Byron and Katie, it's Katie and Byron. So when you pointed, so when you pointed, your finger went the wrong direction, dude.
I remember the last time that we were on a public webinar and you called out Katie and said that she was in the Air Force, if I remember correctly. So I think we should probably have a public apology right now.
Hey, I am so sorry. And I honestly, I was just talking to a really good friend today, a master sergeant in the Air Force. I call him HAMS. The Honorable Alternative to Military Service is the Air Force. So I apologize to you and all the Air Force listeners. Don't hate me. Embrace it. Civilian service. It's awesome. So I apologize, Katie. Officially, I'm sorry.
Thank you. I accept your apology.
That's good.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, Byron and Katie, tell us about yourselves.
Sure. So we met our two favorite sailors here a couple years ago at the Best Ever Conference. I think I met Stu the year prior at the Best Ever Conference, got to know each other a little bit. Coincidentally, he works out at Buckley, which is where Katie worked for a couple years. We were introduced by Scott Lewis, who's been a real benefactor of ours over at Spartan Investment Group. And just started to get to know each other. So my background, I just retired last year from the Army, 24 years or so. Katie and I met a few years back when we were just getting started at law school together. And we started a firm, I would say together, but the reality is when I was waiting for the bar exam results, we had already decided to hang a shingle, but I got a welcome to the AGR program with active duty in Denver. So on the family level, we had to make a tough decision, but we went ahead and hung a shingle. Katie started the firm pretty much on her own. And then I went to play Army for the next 6 years. As I was transitioning out to trying to figure out what to do, to come work at the firm full time, but in what capacity, and always interested in real estate. So we've been really blessed in that our firm is pivoted to primarily supporting real estate and small business on the legal side of the house. And then we also actively invest and syndicate deals on the other side of the house. So we've been really, really fortunate. I guess as far as background goes, in the Army, undergrad degree in business from Regis University, local Jesuit school, grad school for an MBA at Colorado Christian University. Katie and I attended law school together at the University of Denver, Sturm College of Law, and then done some additional professional development in government contracting and project management through Villanova and Norwich, respectively. So we started investing as a family. I'm going to steal some of your thunder.
Okay.
A few years back. Yeah. So just renting out our own former primary residence. And then a few years back, we started investing in a little niche area here in Colorado, which we feel pretty confident is just blowing up. And we're just riding that wave right now. And then with you two heroes, we recently teamed up on a deal to buy a couple mobile home parks, and we're looking at some other stuff. We've got some pretty good opportunities on the horizon, and we're just super excited to continue to ride this wave with you guys and enjoy this experience as a family. It's just been super cool. It's a total family affair. So I'll be quiet. Occasionally,
Dave's been riding this wave a long time too. He's just on for the ride. He's just hanging on.
Coattails all day.
Yep.
All day, every day.
So I'll defer to Katie now. I'll be quiet.
So I'll start the same way. I think I met Stu a couple years ago at a mastermind or some sort of investor group?
Yeah, I think I was holding a mastermind, like investor meetup in Aurora that you came to.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. So I met Stu there and then met David last year at the Best Ever Conference. And I think Byron talked mostly about our background, but I was also in the Army active duty. I've served just over 10 years on active duty, and I'm still in the Army Reserve. I am a colonel, and I have a I'm in a unit in North Carolina, so I'm with a 108th Training Command as the G2. My undergrad was in Santa Clara. I had a philosophy degree, which really means nothing, but I knew that I was going on active duty, so it didn't really matter to me. And went to law school at University of Denver. Byron and I both went at night because we had small kids and we also had full-time jobs. So it took us about 4.5 years to graduate from law school. I've graduated from the Army War College with a Master in Strategic Studies, and recently just got my real estate license so that I can help do deals, do our own deals for investing. That's really the purpose. So,
man, David, do you feel like really small right now?
Dude, here's the thing, man. So they're being very humble. These two are ninjas, right? They're crushing it in real estate. They're both attorneys. They're, as Katie said, colonel in the Army. Byron served for years and also just while serving, just absolutely destroying it. Like, you started a firm while you guys are active duty and serving the country. Like, you guys are amazing. And I've actually been super excited about this podcast because I just love talking with you guys. I've loved the opportunity to, every time that we talk deals, your passion, your commitment, your excitement. And I'm absolutely, I will admit, riding coattails because you guys have been walking the properties that we're looking at. You've been analyzing, just shooting over amazing plans, deals. Like, it's been amazing. My life has absolutely been changed since meeting you guys a year ago. And I do want to apologize for one more thing. I am so sorry that your introduction to Storehouse 310 was the first person was Stuart, because I think that is a disservice to both of you, both on the looks front, and he's a smart dude, but like that's about what he brings to the table. So I apologize for that personally, but I will just say, like, I know for me personally, you guys have broadened my horizons. I've gotten so excited about the Colorado market, the places that you guys have that we've partnered on. and you guys are freaking amazing. So I'm super excited about this conversation. And we're going to talk about some of these things, partnerships and who you choose and how you choose people, and which will get really awkward if we talk about my and Stu's partnership, but we'll get past that. We'll work through
Coattails.
But you guys are phenomenal. For all our listeners, I would highly encourage you to as you take notes on this, as you listen, take some of the finer points of how you choose partners and the analysis that you do on your partners before doing deals with folks is just as important as the deal themselves. So super excited for you guys.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
So what we, like Dave kind of alluded to, what we really wanted to kind of hit on tonight was just partnerships, and obviously the first partnership that we really want to hit on is just Byron and Katie, your partnership, not only in business but in life. And I'm just really interested because I have a spouse and David has a spouse, and there's things that go on in married life. There's conflict and resolution, and I'm just really interested to hear how your partnership is run on a daily basis, both in life and in business, and how you kind of mix it all together. And that's a really long, hard answer, but I know you guys can take a shot at it.
Yeah, well, I think we learned pretty early on when we worked together in our Army Reserve unit that we worked really well together, and that I had strengths that Byron didn't have, maybe all of them. And I'm just kidding.
I don't doubt
that. No, Byron has a ton of strengths that I don't have. And so we realized that we liked working together. We enjoyed that. I definitely think that we can get under each other's skin now, especially starting a law firm. And now, we'd never practiced law, right? We really had no idea what we were getting into with that. And then starting this real estate syndication company, we've started a property management company so that we can manage the properties that we own. And so I think it's a lot of not stepping on each other's toes and letting each other do what we know that we can do best. Because I think when we do start getting into each other's lanes, that's where problems arise. Right, Byron? But
I like how Byron's just staying quiet during all of this.
Smart though, right?
Smart,
it's
dude.
smart. It's smart.
I know. So we've taken, I think, several personality tests, and what my strengths are over here and Byron's are over here. And we definitely see that in our family and in our businesses. But I think it goes back to respect too, and trust. I have the utmost confidence and trust in Byron that he's going to do what he needs to do on his side. And I think he feels the same way about the things that I do.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because one of the things that that was brought up in this conference that we were just at is talking about partnerships, and one of the things that they recommend that you really look for right off the bat is what you're talking about, Katie, the complementary skill sets. I see it in David and I in our partnership. Like David said, I'm the really smart one. David's just kind of out there hanging on for dear life with his coattails, and I'm
hanging on to my own coattails. I just want to clarify how smart you are. So I'm hanging on to my own coattails.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Go ahead. Good question.
Yeah. Next question. Sorry. No, but so for you guys, I'm just curious, what roles do you guys play? What skill sets, do Katie and Byron, have in your business?
So I would tell you, initially, going back to when we started the law firm, that was kind of out of left field for Katie, that we had this plan, and then all of a sudden I'm gone, full-time duty elsewhere. And I've told her this many times that there's no way that I could have done that, what she did. And part of that is she's incredibly disciplined. That played out in law school. We won't even get into that, but she's very disciplined and very methodical and intentional and deliberate about anything that she does. And so she was able to take the firm. I mean, we were in the black in year one and never looked back. And so now when we're looking to establish the real estate holdings and whatnot, she handles all of the administrative details with such skill that, you know, there's no way that I could do it. Actually, to be honest with you, I don't know anybody else that could do it. I mean, she wears a lot of hats, but she's just very organized and disciplined and understands what's important and is very assertive. That's what's been really fun, is to see how assertive she is in dealing with both employees,
tenants in mobile home parks or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Byron.
And Byron.
Yeah, but she's, yeah, and I'm cranky sometimes too, but she's just really amazing in terms of being organized and keeping everything on track. So, you know, me, I'm bowling a china shop. I'm just running around, you know, trying to find deals and source deals and finance deals. And at the end of the day, somebody's got to actually implement the business plan. And there's no way that we could do it without her. I mean, that's no joke. That's no joke. I have no agenda here whatsoever. I'm just being honest.
Now, I'm just curious, do you guys like take the time to intentionally talk about roles and clearly define them? Is that something that you specifically do? Because I think, you know, it's a loaded question, because I think it's super important. Something that Stu and I always are continuously, you know, hitting and saying, okay, I'm doing this, you're doing that. Is that something you guys like actually spend time dedicated to? Here's my roles, here's your roles, and let's make this thing happen?
I think we could spend more time doing it in certain areas, but because we know each other so well, right? We live together, so we kind of know what each other's strengths are and what Byron's going to do. And again, when it feels like we're stepping on each other's toes or we're doing the same thing, we kind of back up and like, okay, you got this, right? I'm not going to do it. You're going to do it. So I think there's always a need to identify the roles that you play and go back and see if that's what you're doing or it needs to be adjusted. A lot of it is innate. Byron would probably think that we needed to talk about it more often, but really the roles are so different. I do the operations piece. He loves the networking. I don't like networking. He loves finding the deals. He's great at that. He loves putting the deals together, and it's just not something that I do. I know that I take over when we have a deal and I need to turn things around and get it running. That's where I know that I can be the best help that I can be on that deal.
Do you guys?
Yeah, I don't think that didn't just come naturally. You know, we've been together for a while. And it's funny because I also have an ops background. And so, you know, I've lived in positions for years where I'm the executor, right? And I'm pulling the strings and whatnot. And so, yeah, I think we've just kind of developed this understanding over time. Going back to Katie's point about trust and partnerships generally is, one, there's no doubt in my mind that she's constantly thinking about how to execute the things we're executing, whether it be at the firm, whether it be the family, whether it be the real estate stuff. And I feel confident that she doesn't think that I'm sitting back with my feet up on the desk, right? And so, I mean, we're just built the same way, and that we're constantly churning and thinking about how to make this stuff work for our company and for the investors or for our clients. Like, just, it's constant. And so there's a lot of trust that's been developed over time towards that end. I think that's a huge thing if you're going to go all in with someone.
Go ahead, Stu. Look like you had a question.
No, you go ahead.
Hey, so I want to back up a little bit, because it just, as you were talking through some of these things, I just am we typically ask this question, but I'm super curious just kind of how you guys address this. But so, we oftentimes talk about our whys, and for Stu and I, we came together, developed an overarching why for the business, and then we execute from that, and everything from the name, Storehouse 310, and the faith-based and the giving and all that was really wrapped up into everything before we even bought our first deal. I'm just kind of curious, when you guys are talking about and doing your planning, backwards planning, very good Army fashion, and the joint planning process. I'm sure you guys, you guys are ninjas at that, and you go through it because Army writes all the doctrine. But I'm curious on your individual whys, and if your individual whys are individual whys, or if you guys like sat down and actually formulated a why together. Are those independent? Do you have a second, one that is a mutual one? Like how do you guys work through that? Because I think it's so critical.
So yeah, I can kick this off. So on a personal level, even before I met Katie, and I don't know if I've shared the story with you guys or not, but back in 2005, a buddy and I, D. Reezy, started a company, right? The world's first chew-proof garden hose, believe it or not. Right. And so this was the same, there's a long story. We'll share this story separately offline over a couple beers. But at the end of the day, Dave and I started a company. We raised some money and brought a product to market. And through that, to be honest with you, I learned more from that experience than I did through an MBA program and maybe law school. And part of that experience was realizing how very difficult it is to be an entrepreneur. And along that way, I developed an interest or a passion for helping veterans navigate those waters if they want to start a business, right? And then you compound that with when we were in law school, we had to take this legal ethics class, and our Professor Peppers, talked about making access to the law reasonable for all people. Right. And now then, so then through this journey and, seeing some of the challenges that veterans have with creating wealth, right, and having some of those same opportunities as people that are living in the same place for their entire career, building generational wealth with their families or owning their homes outright or whatever it may be. This is kind of a natural progression to what we do now. Is most of our clients, especially on the syndication side of the house, are veterans, and a lot of them are just getting into the game. And so I get really fired up because we can provide reasonable access to these opportunities as they learn and grow how to use real estate to build wealth. So it's very easy to roll out of bed in the morning and go to work and do that and help people push through this barrier to entry to actually building wealth. And so that's been super fun. And then I think on the family side of the house, Katie and I have been burning a candle at both ends for a long time. So we started school back in 2008, 2009. We both worked full time. We had little kids. We took night classes Monday through Thursday from 5:30 to 9:30 after working all day and after a 90-minute commute. And, we're just really passionate about coupling what we do on the ordinary income side of the house through the law firm with some passive income on the real estate side of the house, and creating an opportunity for us to be able to spend a little bit more time with our families, but also build that generational wealth. So our kids are very involved in what we do on the investment side of the house. They wouldn't be pleased about it, but, on occasion we take them down to Fremont County, and they're painting walls and they're hanging fixtures and they're carrying furniture and whatever else, but it just gives us an opportunity to embed that in them as well. So yeah, did I miss?
Yeah, and the only other thing that we've walked through with our why is we love to travel. And so we want to have income, and we want to have a schedule and flexibility to travel and to go places with our family and with each other, and see the world. And so that's another one of our whys that we've talked about.
Yeah, I want to share one other thing if I could. our team, we just started out on the investment side of the house, but we were very intentional about dragging our team through kind of a learning process and planning process. So we loosely modeled it after Gino Wickman's model in the book Traction. And we took our team when we were up in Keystone, when we met you guys last year, and worked through a VTO and basically talked through what are our core values and how do we want to approach business. And one of the big things was, at the end of the day, we want to create a great living environment or a great travel environment for the people who occupy our properties, right? And what's really cool about that is getting to know you guys in the discussions that we've had on where we want to leverage capital or what improvements we want to make or where we want to prioritize putting dollars, that we're all in lockstep in that. If we priority number one is, providing a good experience for our tenants, especially when they've had a really bad experience otherwise. So I think we're real intentional about that, whether it's Katie's extra touches on the Airbnb properties or the renovation work at some of these other properties, or just the straight up standard of living for people who haven't been treated properly over time. We're just real intentional about that. And that's one of the reasons that we love working with you guys, other than your charm and sense of humor.
Amazing good looks.
Yep.
Yes, that too.
Yep.
No, you guys don't have to lie. So this dude's got a face for radio.
There you go.
One of the things that was also kind of brought up in forming good partnerships is the alignment of goals and then also like a common hunger. It really sounds like you guys are, on the same vision of setting those goals and the why behind it. And I really honestly believe that that's what makes a great partnership. And I feel like that's what has really helped David and I, start Storehouse 310 and then also align with you guys. I mean, we all have a very similar vision of serving and creating a better place for people to live and helping people find their why and, find their highest and best use and help military and veterans find financial freedom so they can do the same. And it's really cool. It's I think that's a huge piece of the partnership process is doing that. And we did the same thing, Byron. We sat down and did the VTO, mapped out our vision, our mission, 10-year, 3-year, 1-year goals. And I think it's super helpful. Did you guys get a pretty good experience out of that?
Yeah, we did. But D. Reezy is like a freight train, man. He's trying to meet our 10-year goal in year one. We got to reel him back in, everyone. We got to reel him back in.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he's talking about buying like 50 acres, like ski resorts.
Yeah, he was sizing up that ski resort.
There. Yeah, we did. We went and looked at it, and it's empty right now. There's no ski lifts either.
We keep on asking where D. Reezy's getting all this money from. I don't know where it's coming from. He's got big plans.
Details.
Yeah.
That's good. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, you can see with D. Reezy, I think it's so funny that D. Reezy, he never has been called that in his life. I love that. But, you can see at least I can see when because when we all met up in Keystone, we're basically interviewing each other, right? I mean, you're presenting a deal, but at the end of the day, you're seeing if you want to work with Stu and I through the course of a deal. We're seeing if we want to work with you guys. And then you kind of roll D. Reezy in the team, after the fact, and just meeting him and getting on Zooms and really getting to know him. And I think it's the dynamic. I love seeing the dynamic, right? Like I can see the personality traits and where the deal literally transitions from Byron, who's just bam, bam, bam. Here's a deal. Let's check this out. Here's the analysis. I can't even keep up on the emails. And I'm like, okay, which deal is this? I don't even know where we're at. And then and then Katie follows up with all the emails on here. We're granting you access to the Google page and this and that and the other. Here's the forms. Find this, do this. And I'm just like, man, these guys are freaking awesome. And Dreezy doing just like the way that you guys all come together, and to be a part of that now is incredible. And we're really excited. I'm really excited to get back to Colorado and where we can, do this stuff face to face. And really, I think there's a lot to be said in that fellowship, spending that time together and really solidifying the group and identifying roles and who's riding whose coattails and all that kind of stuff. But it's such an important thing. And I would highlight to our guests, it's not an overnight thing, right? It's not just like if we didn't align and if we didn't agree where we should spend that money, like the deal would fall apart. We would be fighting. And it never even became, it wasn't even really a conversation that we had. We're like, hey, we got to fix this. It's got to be right. And let's do it. And I would just encourage all our listeners that, you interview your partners and spend a lot of time doing it. Because if you're not aligned, it's going to come out at some point, and it's not going to be, you don't want to be, deep in a multi-million-dollar deal when you find out you can't even stand each other. I think that's important.
I would tell you, man, probably half our legal business when it deals with conflict is based on people who just decide to throw together a partnership. Oh, we're 50-50. We're going to do this together. And, it's amazing the lack of effort people will take to do due diligence on a partner, right? Somebody they're about to go into business with. They may want to save some money or save some time, but if you don't have a partner who's bringing something to the table that you don't have, and to your point where you guys are absolutely aligned, it doesn't work, man. It's just, it's bad business.
Yeah, and we always learn the hard way too, right? So we've gone through these and we've done it, which I guess is good. But if other people can learn from those mistakes and do it right the first time, then you'll be that much better for it.
Yeah. David and I had some pretty serious conversations before we really decided to go into business together. And, we were college roommates for 4 years, best men in each other's weddings. He held my baby right after being born in Italy. And, so he didn't hear
So I feel sorry for that kid.
Yeah. Right.
Well, yeah. And to be fair, I felt sorry handing Collins back to her dad. Cause I'm like, sorry, sweetie, I'm not your dad. That's your dad.
Manage some expectations. That's a good move.
Yeah. So no, I'm 100% with you, Byron. I feel bad for that baby too.
Yeah.
Man, you guys derailed me here. I was on something good. I don't even know where I was going.
You're highlighting how we were so close, and we've been best friends for a million years.
Yeah,
but that's not enough.
Yeah, and so that conversation, that hard conversation that we made each other have was the friendship will always go before the business. And I've done some partnerships in the past that didn't go so well. I've done some partnerships with friends that didn't go so well, and we're not that close to friends anymore. And it went sideways real fast. And it's just not a good place to be. So I think that's super important to have those conversations prior to getting into, a relationship. Did you guys have that talk before you got married?
I don't think we sat down our core values and determined if they were in line. Did we? I don't know. We did staff training and we talked about them all the time. Maybe. Maybe just instinctively it happened. But I mean, we've certainly found out over partnerships that have not gone so well that the core values that you think are your core values, those ones that are, 3 of the most important, may not be the most important. And so we've refined our core values, and it can be different for different businesses, right? We have different core values for our real estate stuff than we do for our law firm, than we do for our family. But you certainly have to analyze those and make sure that those are right for you and the partner that you're choosing.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Dave, what you got?
Yeah.
You're going to say something.
No, I would even offer, and I mean it in all sincerity, but if you're thinking about partnering, if you're listening to this and you're thinking about partnering, get on the Calendly and give Stu or I a call, right? I think there's always good to get another person's perspective on things as well, because a lot of times you can get mixed up in the emotion of partnerships. You can get mixed up in the friendship, and what Stu and I intentionally did. And actually Stu and I had some of these conversations about you two. Okay, let's play out the worst case scenario. And Stu actually had other opportunities at the time. Well, I don't know if they were real opportunities or not, but there were people that wanted him to partner and do. I didn't even mean that as an insult, which is the best part.
Fake opportunities.
There was an individual specifically who was really courting Stu at the same time that we were talking about.
I'm a pretty popular guy. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I think he's in jail now. But besides that, but it forced us down the path of having some very serious conversations about, okay, say we do this and this other thing happens and you go this other route, or say we're in deep and one of us decides to stay in the Navy. Like, what happens to our friendship in that? And when we talked about you guys, like, okay, what are their core values aligned with ours? Do we think this will all work out? And I think that's of utmost importance as we keep hitting on. But I would encourage you, call us, get on Stu or my calendar and give us a shout and just talk through, okay, this is what we're thinking. This is this person. These are the things that bug me about him. If you can't find a single thing that bothers you about your future business partner, that you're already wrong, right? You're wearing rose-colored glasses. You're on the wrong path. And we can help you find those, because I personally work with somebody whose flaws are out there every week. You guys hear them. And, and we can identify and move through those. And it really works out great. So anyhow, that was just a shameless plug. Give us a call if you want us to help you analyze your business partner. Goals. So as you guys, you have your why, you guys talk through your why, your core values. How do you handle goals, personal goals and goals for the businesses?
Well, I think this last big one, Byron just set and told me that's how it's going to be. And I said, okay.
Nice.
That worked. That worked for you, Byron?
It sounded good though. He said 5 years, we are going to be ready to retire because of real estate investing. And so I was like, okay, that sounds good to me. I think he's shortened that.
2 years.
2.5.
Yeah. And then I go back.
Nice.
I'm a realist. So then I reel him in a little bit and like, I think your expectations are a little high. So then we level each other out. But we certainly have those conversations about what our goals are. And again, it's different for every business that we have. But we talk about them, and we talk about our short-term goals and our long-term goals. And what that looked like and what we need to do on the short-term basis in order to reach those long-term goals. I think a good tool that we learned as a young officer in the Army was the IDP. I don't know if you guys have something like the individual development plan, where it makes you lay out your goals, your short and long-term goals and what those look like. And so we learned that very early on, and we've just continued to use maybe not that tool, but something like it. And we do it with our employees too.
Yeah, I want to make a shameless plug here too. So one of the things I do on the side is volunteer with a program called Bunker Labs. It's a veteran entrepreneur focused nonprofit. And one of the tools that they have that's free, so I'm going to definitely plug it here, is they have a program called Launch Lab Online. So you get on there, you register, all you do is put in your email address. It's for veterans, mill spouses, but the reality is anybody can use it. And it's this free module-based, self-paced program where if you want to start a business, or in this case, you want to embark on real estate investment, it kind of teases you through these modules accompanied with practical exercises. And at the end of the day, your end product is a VTO, which we were talking about briefly. But what's really nice about that is the very first thing you do is you do what's called a me canvas. And this is the first time I've ever seen a program actually force you to evaluate what do you want your ideal life to look like before you even get into writing a business plan. And so I was real intentional about this a couple years ago. Katie and I were going through some consternation about what Byron going to do when he retires, right? Katie wanted me to come work 120 hours a week in the salt mines at the basement of the law firm. And I'm like, well, I just retired from a job. Yep, exactly. And I just want to get real intentional about honoring my obligation to come support her because she did such a bang up job in the firm, but also not start going down a road of doing something on a daily basis I didn't want to do. And so as we worked through that, to Katie's point, we like to travel. We wanted to generate some passive income. We want to do something that our kids, we can pass on to our kids, whether it be, wealth or whether it be just education. And so before we get into what the business looks like, you actually go through that process. And then that way, when you hone it in and start looking at what your business is going to look like, if at any point it doesn't jive with what you want your life to look like, then you're out of alignment, right? And so that's a tool that I would highly encourage your listeners to take a look at. And it was, man, I tell you, everything that, almost everything that we went through in thinking through that, just being real intentional about that. In the last year and a half, we've just been really blessed. And through hard work and just opportunity, we've landed about, I think, where we've wanted to land. That's why I'm very confident that in 2 years, our plan will come to full fruition.
Once we buy that ski resort,
That's right. It's
you're
all
set.
What else can you do after a ski resort? Conquistador.
Hey, you have to, I selfishly, I need to try to potentially adjust your timeline based on my desires for SkillBridge. So throwing that out there. So
do you really want him to come work for you guys during SkillBridge? I mean,
yeah. We have a whole list of things that he can do.
That was another thing that Byron just told me was happening. And I said,
nice.
Okay.
Nice. I'm trying to work it. I'm trying to work it right now. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. But I can crush some toilets too. Like I can scrub. I got good Navy cleaning skills. So like if worse comes to worse,
You need it.
there's a benefit.
Dude, I'll tell you what, they have a nice office. I spent some time in there the last couple days watching that conference, and I was pretty jealous, man. Like
I was so jealous of
nice
it. I did
and
not see it,
clean,
but
I mean, it's like they're like real professionals. It's kind of crazy. Now I look at my office in my house, and it's a mess. There's just paperwork everywhere, and I'm just like, oh man, I got to grow up at some point. It's good stuff.
That's awesome. That's awesome. No, thank you for that. I really appreciate the not only the kind of the mindset and the the mental perspective, but the action items behind it. I think that's invaluable, right? Folks that do that, I think that is time well spent. I'm going to do that myself. I've heard of the Bunker Labs, but I hadn't heard of that process, and I think that's rad. It's something that anytime you self-reflect and try to delve into your why and really formulate a plan, I mean, that's time well spent. So that's an awesome resource. Thank you for that.
Byron, you're kind of like one of the leads there for the Denver chapter, aren't you? For Bunker Labs?
Yeah. So I'm one of the city leaders here in Denver. And so my volunteer work is I work with a cohort of 8 veteran entrepreneurs. And so we do this collaboratively with WeWork. And so the people who apply to that program, they get 6 months of WeWork space. And then we hold what I think is essentially a mastermind group once a week. And various topics. We either have a subject matter expert come in and talk about something, or we spend a session working through a practical exercise, helping an entrepreneur solve a particular problem. So yeah, it's really rewarding, and it just is fun. It keeps me associated with the military community, and the nonprofit's just great, man. They're just wonderful. It's top notch.
Well, and it fits right in line with your why, with your with your big vision and big goals of just, helping veterans. It's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, it's awesome.
What, if, let's get in, have some other questions here. Besides Bunker Labs, you guys have any other like resources, books, podcasts, things like that you think would help, our listeners kind of get into what you guys are doing?
Yeah, so I mean, we're just huge on professional development. Shameless plug, Katie just studied for and got her real estate license. Just a better understanding and grasp of the game. So that's pretty awesome.
Okay, Katie, I just got my mortgage loan originator license, so we can team up and high fives. I'm not hanging it yet with anybody, but yeah, I'll get there.
Nice.
We also have one of our of counsel attorneys and a good friend of ours, Alexandra Garza, just passed the title certification. So we've got everything we need.
Nice.
Yep.
So yeah. So in terms of professional development, there's a couple things. I'm a huge fan, and I was going back to one of your potential questions here about what programs and resources are out there, especially for somebody who wants to get into the business and who wants to take the maximum advantage of what's out there. And I'm going to circle back to answer your question, Stu, but I want to highlight a couple things that we were able to take advantage of only through research and education and that kind of stuff. So just this last year alone, we were able to purchase that office space that you mentioned through an SBA 504 loan. So that's a government program that's out there. If you have a business and you're financial supported and you want to purchase a piece of real estate, you can do that on very advantageous loan terms. So there's two parts to that. There's two different types of commercial loans that comprise that. But at the end of the day, we got into a building, I think at a 4% interest rate, perfect office space for us, and let us really, really reach out and do what we wanted to do on the firm side of the house, right? Additionally, we sold 2 private residences. And we took advantage of the personal residence exemption under the tax code. So basically, if you live in a personal residence 2 of the last 5 years and you sell it, you're not paying capital gains, right? So I think we were able to cash out, $150,000 in equity between the 2 and not pay a single dollar in taxes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and this last year, I spent, I was transitioning out like Goody's going to be doing here shortly. I out-processed the Army the last 4 or 5 months of the year, but realistically was doing real estate investment activities the majority of that time, and then carefully balanced the remainder of my year. So I was in real estate over 50% of the time. And so by being able to do that, I was able to take any real estate losses and apply it to my own ordinary income. So for your listeners out there that maybe, they want to invest in real estate and this and that, something to consider and look into is that real estate professional designation and what that can do. For us on a personal side, it saved us about $35,000 in taxes last year. And then some of the projects that we have going on right now, we invest in historic buildings. So they're on the National Historic Registry. And if they're on the registry and you put through the application for a tax credit and you do renovation work on that, you can get up to a 45% tax credit on the overall cost of renovation, right? So for example, we have 2 properties that are historic buildings that were old hotels that we're renovating into personal residences. And at the end of the day, 45% of your renovation costs recouped through tax credits. If you run that through a calculator and you're underwriting a property, it's insane, right?
Yeah, that's huge.
Oh, it's awesome. It's amazing. And then we're taking advantage of another program called PACE, whereby if you're a building owner, or you can get the mortgage holder, the note holder on your property to consent to the program. and you want to do renovations, if you do energy efficient renovations, there's a program whereby you can run that through a commercial lender at current market rates, but they put it on a 25-year note. And so like one of our projects, I mean, it's going to be a $750,000, $800,000 renovation project, but it's a historic building. So we're going to get 45% of that back in tax credits, but we're going to run the renovation costs through the PACE program on a 25-year note. So think in terms of your cash flow in those first 3 or 4 years, especially you're bringing investors in, like you can't beat it. I tell you all that not to brag about it, but all that is a result of constant education and making a choice between, do I listen to the same country song that they're playing every third song, or do I throw on a podcast? And the podcast that I particularly enjoy, I like Joe Fairless's stuff, the best ever. I'm really into taxes. I don't like crunching numbers, but I like the theory behind the Real Estate CPA podcast, right? They have some great stuff on there. And if I find a professional development opportunity, like the PACE program, they put on a 2-hour seminar that you can go participate in, and just opens your eyes to what's out there. And the other program, VA loan. So for our listeners out there who aren't leveraging your VA loan, man, think twice about it. I mean, I know the typical commercial broker will tell you that commercial loans are competitive with VA loans, which I absolutely agree right now. But the fact that you can purchase a multifamily property, 2, 3, 4 units, leverage your VA loan, house hack on that, and start to build wealth. If you're not doing that, then I don't think you're taking advantage of all the benefits out there. It's a huge thing.
Yeah. And I mean, to go along with the podcasts and stuff, I think anytime we hear a book that somebody recommends, I download it on Audible and start listening to it. Audible is like my best friend. Podcasts are great. I was just recently introduced to podcasts, your guys' podcasts. And so it really is. I mean, sometimes you want to listen to music because your mind has been going all day long and you just want to kind of zone out and not think about things. But using that time in the car, or using time well spent that you can learn. We're constantly learning about new ways that we can invest in properties that will benefit us.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's like I would encourage any of our listeners to rewind the last 7 minutes and just freaking replay that over and over. Get a pen and pencil or a pen and a pencil. You probably need something to write on if you do that, but I'd encourage you to use a pen or a pencil and take that information down. It's incredible. One random question: do you find that when you listen to our podcast and Stu's talking, that kind of puts you to sleep?
Really on the Zoom side of the house. Yeah, when we're Zooming and he's going on and on, sometimes I gotta.
Man.
So what you don't know, David, is Katie and Byron have both been in the running for new best friend status.
Of course.
And I've been intentionally like hanging out with them a lot more, and as you can see, they're really smart, a lot smarter than David.
Yeah, 100%.
So just
I think
throwing it out there, man. Just throwing it out there.
You're well advised to do that, but I will just highlight that I think every single guest that we've had, they're always in the running, and I think they're actually running. Like I literally think that when you're like, "Hey, I want to be your best friend," they turn around and run. I think. I don't know, but I'm just saying. I just wasn't fast enough. So, no, that is great. Actionable items, at a minimum.
Yeah, huge.
Everybody can at least go research some of these things, and you will be wiser for it, right? I mean, I'm sitting here taking notes left and right, and I'm like, man, why didn't I had no idea. And I think that's, thank you guys for that. That's awesome. You guys you mentioned you bring your kids into the business. I'm just kind of curious, if you could tell your younger selves or your kids one thing, what would it be?
I think this kind of goes in line with another question, but I would say invest as early as you can. I mean, I started investing in an IRA from First Command, because they always come in and they do presentations. When I was I was a cadet, actually. I wasn't even a second lieutenant. They came in and talked to us when I was still in college. And I started investing. And if I would have, and I always wanted to, every time I bought a house, I bought my first house at 21. I wanted to keep that house and rent it out, and I never did. I just invested the traditional way. So my younger self, I would say, invest in real estate. Learn how to do it, learn what works for you, because what you want to do investing in real estate is not going to be maybe what somebody else wants to do. And there's so many opportunities. There's so many different ways that you can invest in real estate. And if you can do it early, you'll have such a big advantage over everybody else.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I would dogpile on that. It's perfectly stated. But an example that really stood out in one of Kiyosaki's books, not the original Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I think it was in Unfair Advantage, when he starts talking about accredited as opposed to non-accredited investors. In his foreword, he talks about how he had an itch to go buy a new car, right? And his wife, Kim, says to him, well, why don't you go find an investment that makes the payment on that car for you, right? And so we're kind of applying this stuff every day. As you guys know, we just bought, in addition to the mobile home parks that we bought together, Katie and I just spent some money on a couple of the units on the property. And if you run the cash flows, right, we bought a mobile home for 10 grand, and it'll cash flow $600 a month, right? And so instead of taking that 10 grand and going to buy a Geostorm, right, go buy something that produces some income, because we all did that when we were younger, right? The other piece of advice, if we were to put that slant on military members, particularly the young officers that are getting commissioned either through ROTC or one of the academies, USAA throws out that crazy loan where you get 40 grand for 1.5%. And what I used to tell my cadets is, rather than take that and go buy the obligatory BMW or, Harley or whatever else it is, either take that money on your own, because basically free money, right? It's below the inflation rate. It's free money.
Right.
Go take that and do something that produces money for you that not only covers the payment on that note, but then makes you a little extra cash. Or if you're really savvy, find 3 or 4 buddies and go find an asset and invest in that. And if you do that when you're 20, 21 and just understand how that works and cash flow a property or something, I mean, by the time you're 30 or whatever, even if you just do the one term, you've got something, you understand the groundwork on how to make money work for you, rather than just go buy some depreciating asset, right?
I kick myself every day. I took that loan and I went and bought a Chevy Tahoe with it. And
yeah,
we all do.
Yeah,
we all do.
I'm so mad at myself.
That's a sweet Tahoe, though. You took us around. It was the white one. It was back when they were only 2-door. Dude, I remember that car well.
Yeah,
2-door Tahoes. Yeah, it was pretty sweet. I picked up lots of chicks in it. No big deal.
You didn't. No, you didn't, dude. You were by yourself. That's why you only needed 2 doors, because you're like, what do I need to? Nobody's gonna be in the back seat. I mean, friends. Gonna be in the back seat anyway. So, yeah.
Well, guys, this has been fun.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys came on. I learned a lot tonight, and I've really learned that I definitely want you guys to be my best friends instead of David.
You're so dumb. You're so dumb.
Byron, Katie, how can our listeners get in touch with you? What's the best way?
So we have a mailbox, investing@reikeyholder.com. So that's one way. You can also give us a call if you want.
Call
Maybe.
Byron, right?
If I put Katie's cell number out there, all these crazy people will be calling her.
No, yeah. I have her business number. Hold on, but I haven't memorized it yet, because it's one of those ones that just comes to your cell phone. Okay. So you can also call 303-834-3576.
Okay. Cool. Well,
So if you have any questions, if we can help out in any way, we are certainly more than willing to. So give us a call or send us an email.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would just say to your listeners too, one, because it's in a military investor network. Thanks for your service, of course, right?
Yes.
And then I wasn't joking earlier when we said one of our goals is to give reasonable access to the law. So if you're just starting out and you have some questions about something and you just want to socialize something, we can do that in a way where I'm available. I'll just say that, right? If you just want to vet an idea or something doesn't sound right, or you want to have a quick discussion, I'm happy to do that. And I'll give my cell phone out. It's 303-319-5317. And if I don't answer, I'll certainly call you back because I get a lot of spam calls throughout the day. So yeah, best of luck to all your listeners on their endeavors, and look forward to watching the other podcasts.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for your time, for gracing us. I mean, you guys, I'm not joking when I say that partnering with you has been life-changing for me. It's opened my aperture, really helped me to see and understand and look at the world differently, look at investments differently, look at partnerships differently. You guys are absolutely incredible. And just your willingness, your generosity to give, to serve, to love on other service members is truly humbling. And I honestly think that Stuart and I could not have partnered with better folks than you guys and Dreezy. So Dreezy, if you're listening out there, shout out to you, buddy. You're amazing.
D-Reezy.
D-Reezy. But I tell you what, no, you guys are truly, we are truly blessed to and better to be partners with you guys. So thank you guys for joining us.
We feel the same way. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right. So go give 5-star reviews. Go share this, like it, subscribe, give me 5-star reviews.
Every time, man. Every time, Stu.
And most importantly, go fill your storehouse.
Make it a great day.
See ya.
Peace.
See ya.